Excellent. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Reidox4life Podcast Show. I am Levi, and this is Lamika Renee. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Christopher Colgin.
Aloha.
Excellent.
So I'm sure our viewers would love to know who Dr. Chris is and what inspired you to venture into the career path that you're in.
Well, that's a very interesting question. When it was as a doctor of chiropractic, I've been in practice now almost 27 years. And what inspired me to become a chiropractor was an injury that happened when I was trying out for the wrestling team in 1986, my sophomore year. That's going way back when. I went to a high school called Sarah High School. Some famous people have gone there, like Tom Brady and Barry Bonds and athletes like that. So, and it was very sports oriented. Well, for some reason, when we were doing drills or just certain things as a wrestler, my back was killing me. And so the coach said, "Hey, look, you need to go see someone about this." And after mulling things over, some friends of the family who were bodybuilders said, "No, go see this guy. It's a chiropractor." And I go, "Hey, Dad, what's a chiropractor?" And he goes, "Son, I think you'll like this." And I go into this guy's office and I see all these, acknowledgments of signed autographs from bodybuilders, professional athletes. I go, "Well, if they're here, I guess I'm in the right place." And lo and behold, I found out I had a major, postural issue with my spine, like a scoliosis. And people would kind of comment to me, "Hey, will you sit up, Chris? Why are you slouching?" I go, "I am sitting up. I had no idea I was slouching." Well, once I saw the x-ray and then once I got that first adjustment, I couldn't believe how much better I felt. And I was all in. And back then, my mom and dad, this is the 80s we're talking about here. My mom and dad said, "Well, if you think we're going to keep driving you back and forth, you got another thing coming, because we believe that you have a couple of legs or you could take the bus, and depending how bad you want to do that." So yeah, when I was only a sophomore in high school, because I wasn't licensed yet, I didn't have a driver's license yet. So I would take the bus 3 times a week, see my chiropractor, couldn't believe how much better I felt. And not only just from a pain standpoint, but at the age of 16, 17, that was a very interesting time in my life where I was thinking about career paths and things like that. Well, not only was my pain going away, but I was healthier. Allergies went away. I just grades were getting better in school, and so there's a lot of let's say good stimulation. And my parents were just happy that their oldest child is very happy about taking better care of his health, especially when at 17 I decided that, okay, I want to be a chiropractor. I want to be a doctor of chiropractic. I want to help people just like this person helps me. And then I was also involved in a very serious car accident where I permanently deaf in my right ear, spent 5 nights in ICU. And that was about almost a year after I made my decision to become a chiropractor. Well, it went through the whole process, and people couldn't believe, after this kid who's had like 3 operations in his arm, head trauma, deafness in the right ear, how quick he bounced back from that injury as a result of getting that chiropractic care before and, of course, after the accident too. So one of the things I always tell people, because I was so fortunate that my body was pre-programmed already to be in a healing process, that it didn't take so long for me to recover as it would, say, someone else. Especially the other cool thing I had going for me, I was only 17 years old, which is another good thing about having an injury. You heal a little bit faster.
Definitely. Well, man, that's great. I'm glad to hear that backstory on how, on what led you to the career path, that you're on. But, I must ask, did you go back and try out for the wrestling team? And did you make it?
You know what? I didn't. I was kind of like, all of a sudden my focus went from like sports to learning more about just health and wellness. Like, okay, I'm on this pretty cool path here. And even though I could have, I just chose not to, because at first I didn't want to screw up a good thing that was going on. And maybe that was another way for the good Lord to say, "Hey, we kind of put these things in front of you here so you figure it out, whether your mom and dad give you permission or not." And so I decided, no, I want to, go this way. I didn't try, but I loved going to the wrestling matches. I'm a big football fan. I love all that stuff, But as far as me and athletics, for some reason, I just tended to get injured more often than not. I said, this isn't the path for me. I think I'll just learn more about other things first.
There you go. Excellent.
Well, quick question.
Mhm.
Who's your favorite football team?
Oh, I'm a big 49er fan. Okay. Now,
49ers.
oh yeah, yeah. And and keep in mind, Tom Brady. We've known the family for years. We all went to grade school together. He's 6 years younger than me, and so when he was drafted by the Patriots, and this is the second time the 49ers had an opportunity to sign him. 2 years, and they're blowing it. So as much as I love my team, I just still haven't forgiven them for not bringing home the San Mateo boy when they could have.
Oh,
But
excellent.
but I am, yeah, I'm a big 49er fan, so I'm excited this year and everything else. But I love football in general, especially being out here in Raider country, in Las
Yes.
Vegas. It's a love-hate relationship with the Raiders. You know what
Yes,
Yeah.
I
definitely, definitely. Oh, I'm sure that is. Hey, that was a Pittsburgh Steeler country before the Raiders got there.
Right, right. I know. Yeah,
Now, that's my favorite team.
yeah. Oh, the Steelers.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's gonna be a fun year.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. So it sounds like you got it early. You got health and wellness early, and you got the mindset early. Because if it's fair to say that it goes hand in hand, mindset and knowing that the body's own natural ability to heal itself, that. So
Absolutely.
kudos to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, it was very, very fortunate to understand, just the premise of the nervous system in my teenage years, and at that point, I made my decision. I didn't go to a university. I found out I can go to my local community college. I found out what all my courses I needed to take to get into the school I wanted to go to. And it was just I was very methodical and pre-programmed that way. At a young age, and my parents were so grateful. you know.
Oh yes,
So
definitely.
so
Wow. Okay, so what is the one thing you wish you knew on the onset of your career?
well, the one thing I wish I really knew was to be a better listener. Probably would have prevented my first divorce, and then or my only divorce, I should say. And just having just better communication. That because when you have better communication, when you come from a point of listening more, you really are showing people how much you care. Versus how much you know, right? And but I would say that was a big thing for me personally was, as much here I am this provider, I kind of knew what I wanted to do and figure it out, but I didn't want to hear it all, you know. So I found that in my later years, it's like, okay, listen, be patient,
Mm.
acknowledge, be patient, listen, acknowledge, and go from there. And life tends to be a lot better, especially in my current marriage of 14 years. So
Ooh, congratulations.
thank you. So that has
Yes.
definitely worked. It's not
Mm.
perfect, but it works.
Well, that's good. Well, you know what? That's always good to be a good listener.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, you're right. That does go far. It took me a minute to learn that, and so I listen now, and so I try to listen, I guess twice as much as I talk.
Right.
That's
I get it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And not only does it go in relationships, but also with business, because sometimes you
Right.
can become more interesting than interested. So, and that's a
true.
hard lesson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Especially, like I said, especially since we've all, been in business for a while. I got, almost 27 years of, clinic experience. So, but I'm always coming from a place of being humble because things just keep changing. And the breakthroughs keep happening. Technology changes, nutrition keeps changing, and which was one of the main reasons why I went from being mostly chiropractic to going into what we call functional medicine and nutrition, which later led to weight loss. And that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. One of the things I forgot to mention where we were talking about that transition of how, why I found my path. Well, as a chiropractor, I was also noticing that my adjustments were not holding as much. And I kind of made this discovery around 2008. And I started learning more about 2006, 2007, around that time. Started learning more about GMOs in the food. Started learning more about gluten sensitivity. Started and not realize how much of an impact this has on my patient's health. And then also the impact it has on their weight. Okay. And then as time went on and as I'm learning more about this, how there's that brain gut connection, right? If the brain's not right, the gut's not right. Or if the gut's not right, chances are the brain's not right. So
Yes.
there's that relationship now, and you can't ignore either one of them. You almost have to assume, well, if you have a gut problem, sure, you got some other things up here we got to take care of too, but we got to make sure that that gut's right as well. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That mind gut, if those two, like you said, if those two are not connecting, uh, it's, I mean, you're going to feel bad, and your body will tell you.
Oh, it does
Definitely.
in ways you don't want it to either, but
Exactly.
It'll tell you.
Exactly. Let me ask you this: how have you implemented functional medicine into your practice? I mean, into your regular chiropractic practice.
Well, it was very interesting how we did that, because that's a very common question. Um, it was a period of time, because I had to learn the intricacies of how to manage a patient with nutrition. I'm so used to the adjustments, things like that. Well, now I'm looking at, all right, well, how am I going to now make the time to have a one-on-one consultation, to sit that down, because a classic chiropractic visit doesn't take that long, right?
Mhm.
Depending on the practitioner, what kind of things they do. But we're looking at 15-20 minute visits of trying to figure out your health problem. So I had to be very strategic in how I did that. I would change my adjusting hours at certain times in the morning and the afternoon, so that way I could have open hours for these health consultations. Um, Today, though, it's a different story. Before now, I do a lot of my work remotely, like I'm doing this. Okay. I'm only in the office in San Mateo, California, one time a month, and that's strictly for chiropractic patients. I do everything now for nutrition and weight loss remotely, 100%. So that's made it a lot easier, so I can choose my times when I want to do things, so that way I get other things done too. But at the same time, I would say, let's just say for that busy office practitioner, sometimes what I would do is, if someone wanted, hey doc, I want to learn more about nutrition, but do you have any time today? I go, I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't have any time to do this in person, but I'd be happy to have a phone call with you at lunchtime, or maybe after work this evening. Are you okay with that? Oh yeah, sure, no problem. And that way it just gave me the opportunity to, all right, I'm done focusing on the chiropractic patients. I now have some time to have a 10 or 15-minute call with this other patient, pre-qualify them, and then have them come in the next day, let everyone know that, hey, look, we got a new patient I've already interviewed them, I've already did my consultation, they're ready to get rocking. Let's make sure we got everything ready. And
Excellent.
so it's just another way to pivot, per se. But yeah, it's been a great experience so far on providing exceptional patient care, whether you're in front of them or remotely like this, online or on the telephone.
Excellent. Dual approach to health and wellness.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah, those are the times we live in now.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, if I can ask you this question, what are the highlights of your career? I mean, because you have, your stories are phenomenal. So I'm so eager to hear more.
Well, the highlights, there's so many of them, right? That I really am grateful to have, good and bad highlights, right? A highlight, it doesn't have to always be positive, but I would say, my a major one off the bat has been, my that God gave me my wife, Sandy, because let me tell you, I've been challenged in many different ways in this marriage, in good ways, that have helped me, become a better man and person I am today, and continuing to change with that as well. I'm very grateful for her for having me to start thinking a little bit differently, so that way I could really see my true gifts that I could provide for others. And it's allowed me to really open up more, and also not to worry so much. I used to be kind of like, I would stress out more off about anything. And there's an old saying, and this is something I got out of our participation with Landmark Education was, if I'm worrying, it's because I'm not taking action somewhere in my life. Because if you worry, you're actually worrying about something that doesn't exist. Okay, because it doesn't. And if you tend to worry, you're going to get sick. You're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to drive your friends and family crazy, or your loved ones crazy. And so, is it worth it to worry? Why don't we just figure out, hey, what do you got to do and get at it? So that is definitely something that was a major breakthrough in my career. Was, okay, if I don't know how to do something, I got to find out who is that person to coach me, who do I need to hire, who do I need to consult, that's it now. It's just there's no more I should have. I'm worried about this. It's or I'm not responsible. I'm responsible. My wife and I are responsible for everything that occurs in our lives. That's another big breakthrough for us. Is there's no excuse for anything. It's like whatever happened. Now, how are we responsible for that? Okay, because there's definitely something there. As far as accountability goes. Yeah. So that's a big thing. Because I was married to my wife, that attitude has really taken its course with me. It's like we just come from a place of anything is possible. And especially what we've seen in the last 2.5 years, anything is possible, good or bad. Okay. Yeah,
Definitely so. Definitely
Right.
so. Well,
Right.
folks, there you have it. That's some solid advice. Hey, Dr. Chris. Hey man, is there anything else you would like to just add, just to, maybe we missed out, or maybe
Yeah,
you
I
want to
mean,
share?
just as far as like a final thought, for your listeners and for your great audience is, growth is painful, and change is painful, but what's painful the most is being stuck in an area or a part of your life where you shouldn't be, or have no place to belong to.
Mm.
There's always a way to improve. There's always someone there to guide you. There's none of this like, oh, what am I can't do that. Stay in the how, and if you stay in the how, there's always going to be possibility.
That is Dr. Christopher Colgin. Hopefully, I've been pronouncing your name right.
You're good. Colgin,
So,
that's right.
out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of San Francisco.
That's right.
Yes, definitely. Hey, so thanks for joining the Reidox4life Podcast Show. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Christopher A. Colgin. Hey, Doc, could you tell the listeners how they can get a hold of you?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of ways. One is I'm all over the internet. I'm on my handle on TikTok is Dr. Aloha. So if you want to see some fun, quick videos about health, you can see me there, or on Instagram as Dr. Colgin. And then so you could DM me from that, or on Facebook. I'm Christopher Colgin, just as far as my personal Facebook page. But and I just tell people this too: if you want to just call me. My cell phone is 650-678-9904. And you may want to put that in your show notes, but 650-678-9904. Feel free to call or text me and say, hey, I saw you on the Redox show. I got a question for you, because there might be something too that you need assistance with that I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about, to help you get to where you need to be health-wise. Yeah.